Okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to class. Welcome to February 2026 cohort of data analytics. And well, welcome to those who didn't join us yesterday. You're all welcome. So, like we said during the induction, this is like data analytics, and usually this course usually runs for 4 months, but we're trying to bridge it so you can do that in 3 months. And we usually we've scheduled to have 3 classes in a week: Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursday. But for this week, it's just Monday and Tuesday today. So next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, we actually scheduled the class for like an hour. But from experience, we know that, sometimes it spills over because we try to take as much reasonable questions as we can so people understand. So it usually stretches for like an hour and a half, or maybe in very rare cases, 2 hours. But yes, we try to make it really not so long so people can rewatch and it's still interesting and valuable. And then sometimes if the class is really, really getting extended, I usually stop recording. So when you're watching it, it's not overwhelming because I don't like watching like recordings of classes. So I just like it being short. So that's what I like. So that's what we like to do, having short classes, but very engaging and impactful. So when you're watching, that's it. And like I mentioned yesterday, I'll really, really, really appreciate it. Not just appreciate it, but for your own good, that you maximize your community. Everyone is learning. I'm your teacher. I've been data analytics for over 5 years, like hands-on data analytics, and I'm still learning because technology is changing. And then in class, I love my classes engaging, ask questions. No question is stupid. Don't Everybody's learning because if like everybody's a student, they don't know. So if they know, right, they wouldn't pay for the class. So you're in the class to learn. So ask your questions. It might sound stupid to you. For me, there's no stupid question. And so even from questions, I'm also learning. So please, you have a community. You maximize your community to learn from each other. You could build networks. Like the lady I learned data analytics with, we've learned so many things together. We've taken advanced courses together. Like now she's also training. And if I didn't meet her in that group, right, I don't know how my data journey would have been. It's been very, like, very, our relationship has just been amazing. So I'll leave it that way. So I know we're all grown and it's difficult to start forming connections and all of that, but you never just know. So just be open-minded about it. And trust me, it's easier when you're learning with someone. Because to be honest, like, when people tell me, I'm like, tech, sometimes I'll say like, did I just make the right choice? Because the truth is you have to keep learning. And then sometimes you're tired, like you're trying to give up. The other person is still pumped up and they pull you up. And the other person is down and you pull them up and you say, oh, what should we do? Should we now continue to cloud? Should we do this? So it's just nice that you have someone on the same, should I say, pedestal, and you're pushing, you have the same goals, you're motivated. And how can you do this? So in class, you can see, this person is asking interesting questions. Oh, this person, if you like, say, this person gets sense, right? So you just pitch, is it pitch? Oh, like ask questions, get into the DM, do all of that. It's just really nice. It's really nice. And then please don't just stop on what I teach you. I try to teach. When I tell people that boot camps are like roadmaps, so they tell you this is what it's. Because for me, I've done a lot of, because I've worked I'm working as a data analyst, like, remotely, and so I know I don't teach. I don't like when my classes are so long and it's all talk, right? So I try to remove the fluff, all the fluff and all of that. I'm not trying to talk down on Coursera, right? But I don't like Coursera, it's just a lot of text and you keep reading, and sometimes you don't even come across these things. So a bootcamp is just like a roadmap. Nobody teaches you everything. Nobody can teach you everything. Even if I want to, I can't teach you everything I know, but I try to remove all the fluff and tell you what you should look at, what you should dig deeper in. And then YouTube is a very great resource. And there's so many things there. So if I teach you XLOOKUP today, you go in and, okay, maybe I try to make my teaching very, 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 very simplified, and I take questions. And so for you, if you don't understand after all the questions, there are 5-minute videos and you look at it and you get more understanding. So please don't just depend on what we teach you in class, but what we teach you in class, trust me, it's enough. But there are many ways to kill a rat. So you can kill your data analytics rat in many ways. So that's it. I think that's all for like a recap of what we did yesterday and how I'll be teaching. And then usually how I teach is I teach and I don't like my classes being interrupted. So I like to teach and then I don't teach and then at the end I take questions. I section it and I say, okay, after this, I'm going to take questions. After this, I'm going to take questions. So if you have a question, you just raise your hands, and when it's time to take questions, right, we could take your questions. So please, I don't like my classes being interrupted. So sometimes I lose my thought process when it gets interrupted. So I'm going to see your hand and I'm going to ask questions. So yeah, so I think that's it. And we'll just dive into today's class. So today we're looking at data foundations. Okay, before today's class, from all I've said, like a recap of what we did yesterday and the class structure, do we have any question or comment? None for now. Okay, thank you. So today we're going to look at data foundations, like more of introduction to data analytics, like data analytics proper. And after that, we're going to have a walk around of the Excel interface. We'll be starting off with Excel. So we'll do like a brief Excel interface walk around. And so by Monday, for those who haven't worked with Excel or whatever, you just have an idea of what to expect. So it's not when I start clicking, where are you? What is this? What tab? So that's why we're going to do like a walkthrough through Excel's interface. So I'll start sharing my screen now. I'll show my entire screen. So let me know. You can see my screen, right?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. So today we're looking at data foundations and introduction to data, understanding data with examples. So the first thing we're going to do is a definition of data. So data refers to raw facts. Raw, when I say like raw, the data is raw. I think that's the key thing you should take away. Data is raw. Raw facts, figures. Let me do this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So data is raw facts, figures, or information that are collected for analysis or reference. It can be numbers, text, images, audio, video, any other form of information that can be stored and processed. In fact, everything is data. The way the wind is going, the way this person smiles, or then it's data, because you can say, okay, when she smiles like this, it means this. When she's smiling like this, it means this. When she's smiling like this, it means this, right? So everything is data. For me, everything is data. So data is essential for driving decision making and solving problems across various industries. So it's not just, it's like, so when people talk about, oh, data and all of that, every industry, sales, healthcare, there's healthcare analytics, there's sales, customer segmentation, logistics, all sorts, because you're trying to understand, okay, this data we have, this are selling, How do we project? How do we do this? What we have, what can we do with it? These are customers, these are demographics. That's all of it. So all sectors, all industries, all professions, everything, you need data. You work with data. So key points about data, you should know that data is raw information. It's unprocessed facts that have yet to be organized or analyzed. So it's unprocessed, and then you can collect it in different ways. But then we'll get further into that. But as a data analyst, yes, you can collect data, but most of the time you're not the one collecting data, but you can still collect data. And then it's used for analysis. When processed, data helps provide insights and make decisions, of course. And then varied formats. Data can be in different forms, such as text, numbers, images, or sound files. Like we said, it comes in various formats. So there are types of data. So there are different ways to classify data. And there are two common classifications. You're going to classify based on their structure and based on measurement. So we're talking about structure. We have structured, we have semi-structured, and we have unstructured data. And when we're talking about measurements, based data by measurement, we talk about quantitative and qualitative data. So we're all going to look into that. So now let's look at based on structure. So first of all, we're going to look at structured data. So this type of data is highly organized, easily searchable, and follows a defined structure like a table of rows and columns. So when we talk about Excel spreadsheets, like Excel, Google Sheets, are typical examples of structured data. They come in rows, they come in columns, even databases, it's very structured, tables, things like that. It's very structured, and you can look at this. So this is like an example of what a structured data looks like. So this is an example of a retail company, and it keeps a record of daily sales with columns for date, products, quantity, sold, and price. So that is structured data. It follows a specific structure, and then it's easy to collect this data. So this is a structured data example. And then this is an employee database. Yeah, so this is like an employee database where we have employee ID, name, role, salary. So we can see the columns and we can see the rows, and it's just in a certain structure, and it's easy to, let's say, easy to work with and easy to understand. So that is it for structured data. So we have structured, and then now the next one we're going to look at unstructured data. Unstructured data, like we've said here, doesn't follow a predefined format or model. It's often rich in context, but harder to analyze without specialized tools, obviously. So we have unstructured data, like social media posts. Everyone sees how social media posts are. So we have collection of tweets, we have Facebook posts, we have Instagram photos, videos, photos, all sorts. Those are unstructured data because they don't follow a specific structure. If someone's sending in, making a Facebook post, I have images attached, I might have videos, it might be long, it might be short, it might be different categorization. So it's just all over the place. So that is definitely a kind of unstructured data. And then email conversations. Sometimes I'm going to point here, it's under unstructured, but I purposely left it there because some people also say that, another school of thought says that email conversations are semi-structured. So we'll get into that. So email contains text, attachments, metadata that are not organized in a database table, definitely. However, the people that argue that email conversations are semi-structured because you know that an email has a column for, like, the sender, the receiver, the date, the subject, right? And then the body is what is now uses, like, it's not in a structured format. The attachments, the body of the email doesn't use doesn't now follow a structured format. But however, we know that we always have a sender, we have a receiver, we have the date, and we have a subject. So email conversations can be grouped as unstructured and semi-structured. And I think after this, I'm going to take questions before we get into data by measurement. And so then we have the semi-structured data. So semi-structured data is partially organized, just like what I said about the email conversation, with tags or metadata, but lacks a rigid structure like fully structured data. So some part like tags. And then some people also say, you know, like when we have hashtags on social media, that, oh, it can be semi-structured. But yeah, even with the hashtags, is also quite a whole lot. So I would definitely won't put that into semi-structured data. But things like that. So we have examples like JSON files. So it's a data format commonly used in web APIs. It has some structure, but can vary in length or format. So look at it. So this is like a JSON, open bracket, close bracket, yes. So it has some structure, like the employee data, it has ID. So this is definitely like an employee data, an employee, so like an employee table. And we have the ID, we have the name, we have the role, data analyst, and all of that. So, but the beauty of, like, you know, the advancement of data and data analytics, there are so many tools that when you bring in files, like in Power BI, even Excel, when you bring in JSON files, you know, it just puts them into rows and columns. It makes it structured for you. So even if you're, and then as an entry-level data analyst, I don't think you're gonna get this. But even if you do, we have all these business intelligence tools. Even Excel brings it in and puts it in like a structured format. And so here we also have log files. So system logs or event logs often have a timestamp and message, but lack a tabular format. Yes. So we can see this is the time and the user and all of that. So that is how that works. So very quickly, I'm going to take questions on like the definition of data and structured and unstructured data before we get into quantitative versus qualitative data. Okay, let me see. Do we have any questions? Any hands raised? Questions, hands raised? None. Okay, thank you. So I'll just continue with the other classification. So now we're going to look at based on measurement. So we have quantitative versus qualitative data. So first of all, we're going to look at quantitative data, quantity. So quantity is like how many, how much, right? Quantity. And then when we say qualitative, qualitative is more of descriptive. Tell me the qualities of this thing. So by the time we get into, let's say, Power BI or other, yeah, when we start working with like actual data sets, you're going to see like quantitative data and qualitative data. So qualitative data are the things that describe the data, like descriptive things about it. And then quantitative are things like numbers, so like real business numbers, like sales, how many, profits. So these are things that you can count, like, you know, you can measure like quantity, number, you know, things like that, number of orders. So these are quantitative data. So quantitative data is numerical and can be measured. Numerical and can be measured. It answers questions like how much, how many, how often. So we have types of, so we have quantitative data, two types of quantitative data. So we have the discrete and we have the continuous data. So we talk about discrete data. So discrete data is data that takes specific separate values. Discrete data are, if I can put it in a very layman's term, they're like whole numbers. So you can say how many classrooms are in this school. And we say we have like, you know, 25 classrooms, 25 students, you know, things like that. Those are numbers like that are this. You can't say we have 2.5 classrooms. How many boys are in this class? You can't say I think 17.5. No, this doesn't work. So things like that don't work. So these are like descriptive. Is it a 5? Is it a 4? Is it a 8? Is it a 200? But there's nothing like 200.1, 200.6. So that is not for discrete. That's a continuous data. So continuous data is data that can take any value within a range. So continuous data takes value in a range. So we can do 3.1, 3.2, 3.8, 4.6. So those are continuous data. So yes, so we can do this with sales, profit, discounts, we can do continuous data. But then when we're talking about orders, how many of this happened, how many things were sold, we can't start saying we sold 2.5 dispensers and things like that. No. So that's the difference between discrete data and continuous data. So now we're going to look at qualitative data. So qualitative data is descriptive and non-numerical. It captures attributes, characteristics, or qualities. So usually when you're looking at descriptive data, qualitative data. So let me say, because we'll be working with lots of sales data, I think that's the easiest data for entry level. So it's like you get a grasp of data analysis better. So you'll be seeing things like location, gender, what's that? Things that color, things that describe the sales. Okay, we had how many sales, but then what color was this? Location of customer name, things like that. So those are things that are not, and then they are non-numerical. So we have nominal data, this data that represents categories with no specific order. We have gender, like male, female. We have colors, red, blue, green. So let's say the car's color is red. Of course, you can't say, let's arrange it, male versus female. No, there's no red, blue, green. There's no order, there's no specific order. It just comes in as it comes in. And so maybe you might not use a quantitative data, to sort this qualitative data. So for nominal data, there's no order. But then we'll talk about like ordinal data. So this is data where the categories have a specific order, but the differences between levels are not measurable. So example, we're looking at ratings. So we have like you're satisfied, you're neutral, you're dissatisfied. Yes, it has an order, but that doesn't really mean that there's, how do we put it? It's like measured like that, right? So ratings are a good example of ordinal data. Yes, there's an order like satisfied, non-satisfied, not or slightly satisfied, things like that. We all know how ratings go. They can go from 1 to 10, like in different things, but that doesn't mean that anyone is really like you can really measure it. So that's what it is for types of data when we talk about the structured and the unstructured and semi-structured. And then when we talk about based on measurement, we talk about quantitative and qualitative. And so just like the name implies, quantity. So that is the numerical one. And qualitative is like the quality of it, the descriptive. So that's it. And so now data usage. So data is used across many fields and industries to inform decisions, solve problems, and innovate. So below are some examples of how data is applied. Of course, the very first one is business and decision making. Businesses use data to make informed decisions that improve performance, efficiency, and profitability. So we're looking at sales data. A company tracks product sales, of course. Sales over time, you look at the trend, you look at, okay, if let's say, like sales data. Oh, this always sells at this time. We have low sales on so time. Or this particular kind of people buy this product at this particular time. Oh, why is sales dropping in this place? Why? That is what we do with data for making business decisions. So you can use it to decide, okay, we're going to stock more of this good, or we need to stop stocking this good, or we need to stock this good and this good and these goods and these goods. So those are, helps you make business decisions. And then your customer data example. So a retail company analyzes customer purchase behavior to personalize marketing campaigns. So obviously, all of us understand this kind of business decisions. we have customer data. Maybe they understand your demographics, and you know there are these things we do in big shops where they fill out your details and they try to understand the kind of job you do, or maybe they might not go all out. Maybe like me say like in Nigeria because of data privacy, and then or maybe they might know okay you have kids and things like that. And then the marketing campaign starts showing you they tell you like, oh, we're having back to school this, oh, we're having we open an account. Even banks do that a lot. I think banks now send to everybody. If you have children, it applies to you. Doesn't have children, it applies to you, right? But yeah, things like that. Or people, even I know even bakers now, when they know their clients and they know, and then when they find out like, okay, their clients, I know your child is having a birthday or your birthday is approaching, or your husband, they send a message to familiarize and won't you, and then that message is just like, won't you do cake, right? So things like that. So that's what we talk about. So that is how data helps you in making informed decisions as a business. And like I said, I know for those who attended the last cohort's presentation, right? So if you're not speaking data, you're just talking. You just have an opinion which is not verified. And in this day and age, nobody has the time to listen to opinions. Tell us with facts. Tell us with verifiable, right? Tell us with verifiable proof of what you're saying. So tell us, okay, why should I do this? So you can't come and start. I feel like, I think, I guess. You're not guessing on my millions money I'm putting in capital. No. So we want facts and figures, and that's why. So just imagine if your competitor is doing a lot of data, making projections, understanding patterns, looking at trends, and you're here feeling and guessing. Come on, you're leaving the market in a few years. Let's say, no matter how lucky you are, if you're not understanding data analysis, if you're not working with your data. So right, so that's what data usage is for business and decision making. So scientific research and development. So in scientific research, data is collected through experiments and observations to test hypotheses and develop new solutions. So these are all medical research. Yeah, we always see lots of new vaccine, clinical trials, it has passed this, this is this, it's receptive, we tested on animals, animals are not humans, okay, we're testing on humans now. I remember the other last one, it was, who was that? The Bill Gates, right? They were thinking of coming to, there were lots of African countries, some accepted, and it was in the news, I know, and some people didn't accept. So all those are like, medical research, that's all data. And so they can now possibly say, oh, it has this success rate. We've seen all the years they've been trying to do cancer research, this vaccine has come out now, for diabetes, for this, for this, for this, but we're still where it is. So it's all data. And then environmental monitoring. Scientists collect climate data to monitor global warming and predict future climate conditions. I think one of the things I never get tired of watching, I wouldn't go and start seeking for that information, but I just like the whole, when you do the weather forecast and all of that, it's just something I love to do. And I always have the weather channel or app on my phone. So, I'm always like looking, okay, let me see. And I always try to plan my day or whatever I'm doing with the weather thing. So it's important. And you find out most of the time, let me say like 90% of the time, these weather projections are accurate. So it's important that we look at it. And I know that most people now already also plan their days and events to a reasonable extent with weather forecasts. So that's all data. And then marketing and advertising. Marketers rely on data to target specific audiences and optimize their campaigns for higher conversion rates. So we have web analytics example, tracking the number of visitors to a website, where they come from, and what actions they took. So you can look at, this website received 10,000 visitors last week, with most traffic coming from social media ads. So you can check that. Ad targeting, using user data to show personalized ads on platforms like Facebook or Google. We all know that those you go to Google, Jumia, if you go online, or especially these e-commerce sites, Jumia, Konga, even Amazon, you know, you look at something and they are offering you, and then when you click on it, next time in fact, you don't even have to go back on the site, and then ads keep popping up like, this is what you looked at last, like saying, are you not buying? Why did you check me out? You know, so those are all, you know, targeted ads and web analytics. So it keeps coming up, it keeps saying, oh, if you bought these, people also who bought this also bought this. If you looked at this, you might also be interested in this. So that is all data. They're looking at, they're obviously going to read, analyze, this is what this person looked at, this is what this person is interested in, this is what this person, and they start pushing it out to you. And then let's see, people age 18 to 25 in London are more likely to click on ads for smartphones. Yes, definitely. With the whole craze and churning out smartphones every day, that's what's important to them. And then also from research, you know, oh, this is what is important to them, this is what they are interested in. And so you just keep pushing that all out to them. So it depends on what you're looking for, depends on what you click on. That is no longer new, it's nothing new anymore. Or you know that they know at marketing and advertising know how to think of, and as I know initially when people didn't understand the whole web analytics and ad targeting, they were saying, is Google listening to our conversations? Because once you just think about it or say, oh, let me do this, and even from just typing, if we don't look at it, we have checked, okay, this person is always talking about this. And even our phones, right? Even when we're trying to chat, we have the prompt that suggests, okay, this is the next thing you want to say. So it's all crazy, and that's all data. And government and public policy, I think we're talking a lot on this. So government uses data to guide policy decisions, allocate resources, and improve public services, definitely. Census data, if we have, like, you know, real census collection, so, and we have real census, right? Not census for political reasoning and political, should I use the word inflated? Yeah, inflated values, right? If we actually use census and actually use the proper results for census, that's what governments use to make proper decisions to get down to the people, the health, infrastructure, education, know how to get to the people and how to reach the people. So then health data, government monitor data on diseases to inform public health initiatives. Yes, there was always, I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago, it was Lassa fever in Nigeria. So, you know, things like that. That's all data. And then artificial intelligence and machine learning, AI and machine learning rely on data to train models that can recognize patterns and make predictions. So we have image recognition, training an AI system to recognize objects in pictures, like identify a person or in a photo. Yes, of course. I think I love Google Photo. And they say, is this person this? Is this person this? Is this person this? Right? And then I could easily, anytime I'm looking for pictures of this person, I just put the name, and all of the person's picture, you know, just comes up together, and I can start put in the album and do whatever I want to do with it. So that's beautiful. And then predictive analytics, using historical data to predict future trends, such as sales forecasts or stock prices. Yeah. So that's also something machine learning can do, predictive analytics. And so machine learning, when you start doing predictive analysis and machine learning, that's more of data science. But just mentioning this so you know, this is yeah, there is something like this. So in conclusion, understanding the types of data and how they are used is foundational to the field of data analysis. So whether structured, unstructured, or semi-structured, data is everywhere and plays a crucial role in every sector. Data is everywhere. So throughout this bootcamp, you'll learn how to collect, process, analyze, and visualize data to derive meaningful insights, giving you the skills needed to excel in data analysis. However, we're not just going to teach you how to, you know, process, analyze, visualize. We also learn data storytelling. We're going to learn how to profile solutions, give recommendations, explain your visuals, right? Also do, and then it's not just about visualizing data, but to visualize properly, to send the message, to look at it at a glance and see, and your management can see, okay, this is what this is saying, to answer proper business questions, not just to give us something beautiful, but you're not answering. You can't tell me what is happening. I can't see what is happening in my business. So you will learn to make dashboards that, looking at it, it tells a story. Looking at it, I understand it, because sometimes you might not be there to, like explain, okay, this is what it is, this is what was happening there, and all of that. So that's all we're going to do at the end of this bootcamp. Trust me, it's going to be an interesting ride. And in 3 months, you would recognize yourself. And I hope, yes, that works. So now I'm just going to take questions before we get into the Excel interface.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay. Hi.
Good evening. Hello, can you hear me?
I can't hear you because your hand is not raised. Okay, maybe you joined in later. I said, like before, if we want to, we need to raise our hands so there's some order in class. Okay? No, the screen, I've taken off the screen. I've taken off the screen. I want to take questions now. I've taken off the screen. I'm not sharing the screen anymore.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm going back to Charity. I was saying, like, I don't know if you joined the class later. I said we're going to take, before we act, I don't just, it's not right, or it wouldn't help the flow of the class. When everybody just jumps in and speaks. So if you want to speak, you raise your hands and we'll get to you. Is that okay?
Okay, I apologize. I joined later, so I didn't know. I apologize.
Okay.
Sorry for that.
No, that's okay. Okay, so just raise your hand. So now, Khadijat, I'll take your question. All right, Khadijat.
Okay, ma'am.
Khadijat.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
So the question I want to ask is that, just like you said now, there are various in every sector, data analysis needed for them to help them to analyze their data and give business insights and all of that. So would you advise someone to niche down? Let's say I'm a doctor now. Would you advise that the person should focus on their health, or maybe I study public administration now, I should focus more on public analysis and governance? So, or you can just be analyzing any sector without you niching down. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's a very beautiful question. For me, I'll say stick to health analytics, because I remember the company I work for, it's consulting, right? So I've worked with retail, I've worked with health data, I've worked with, what's the other one? What was the last one I worked on? I can't remember yet. So the first time I was working on a health data set, it was a pharmaceutical company in the US, a big pharmaceutical chain, right, in the US. And so they have the pharmacy days, store days. There were all sorts of ranks. So my background is in accounting, right? My background is in accounting, so it was all new to me. Yes, I know data analytics, but you then, there were lots of short forms. You see RX, you see this one, it was a lot. So I was always going back and forth with the chief consultant, like, okay, what is this? What is that? What is that, right? But you agree with me that if it's someone that was in the medical field, it's going to be really easy, right? So I didn't need to struggle. But yeah, because it was a project and we worked on it a lot of times. So after working on it on a lot of that, I got used to, okay, this is what it is. So in health, just like we found out there, and then you're doing public health, there are lots of things to do. And what I tell people, what I advise you is that when you're doing data analytics, like now, you've come to study data analytics, and then you don't throw out everything you've done and say, oh, now I'm looking for data. No. That's not a good move. If you're like now health, and then data analytics is a skill that amplifies your existing skill. In tech, there's something we call domain knowledge. Okay. If I'm looking at the financial, if I'm looking like, okay, because I know, but then because I know I did accounting and I know that, come on, any business, anything you're doing is out for profit. So anytime I'm building, and that's what I tell people, anytime you're building your dashboards, especially when we're working with sales data, management wants to see, are we making sales? Are we making money? Is there profit? Then every other thing, all the beauty you put in your dashboard ahead, that's when it comes later. But let me see your KPI, let me see sales, let me see billion revenue, let me see billion profits. Let me see, that is what they want to see. So because I understand that every organization is in to make profit, so that is what that's the first thing you're going to project. Because if tell me you come to your manager and you start telling stories first before you now show him that, oh, we made some money. He already said, I don't have time for this. You and I know that they'll say we don't have time for this, but show me money first. Then you continue. So for you, you have health, you know what they are looking for, okay, what is important to make these decisions, oh, this is how we can analyze it. This is and then because you're in health, if you're collecting data, you know what should be collected. If you're analyzing data, you know what should be analyzed to get this. If so I think you shouldn't, for me, I wouldn't advise you to go into another sector to start looking for a data analytics role. You're going to struggle. But if you're able to niche and do healthcare analytics, it's going to be more fulfilling for you and more rewarding. Does that make sense? Khadija,
Yes,
did I answer your
question?
Thank you. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Well, Charity, your hand is no longer raised. Did I already answer your question?
Yeah, it's similar to what you asked. You have answered that.
Okay.
Yes, but the second one is just a quick one. Please, is there a way we can get the the file you're using to teach us? I don't know.
Oh yes, yes. Okay, yeah, I think you joined in earlier. At the end of every session, like I say after our class today, because it takes a while for the video to process. So maybe by the next day, the next day, before the end of the next day, it should be uploaded on the portal. So this week, I think by tomorrow, hopefully, the portal is ready, so you can register and. Yeah, you can register, and when you register, we share the recording. So this class is recording. So we share the recording, we share the lesson notes, we share the notes by Gemini. So Gemini records what we're doing. So we share the notes by Gemini. And if we have any data set we're working on, we should also share the data set. So everything is on the portal. And as you're starting, you're going to have some quizzes, which you could just take to test yourself on what we've done. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So thank you, everyone. And so very quickly, we're just going to run through, Excel interface. So Excel open. We're going to run through the Excel interface. So on quick. Okay. So you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just hold on. Okay, just hold on. So like I mentioned, we'll be using Excel is the first tool we're going to work with. Excel, SQL, Power BI, Tableau, and Python. So I'm teaching Excel, SQL, Power BI, and Tableau. And then Mr. Charles is going to come back and teach and teach Python and the CV thing. So that's what we're going to do. That's how it's going to run. Okay, so this is your Excel interface, basic Excel interface. This will be your Excel interface. Yes, my cursor is really big because of teaching, and I know your yours might not be as big as this. So I made it really big and it's yellow. So when I'm pointing at, people can see it easily. Yeah. So that's Excel, and I'll advise, so this week, just make sure you have like Excel updated. So you have at least 2021, Microsoft Office 2021, because if you're using something later than 2021, you will not be able to use some functions will not work for you if you're using something later, especially the XLOOKUP function. We'll be looking at XLOOKUP. I know some people still say VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, whatever lookup, index match, and things like that. So we're using XLOOKUP, which is a later function, and it's more dynamic for you to use. So make sure you're using Microsoft Office 2021 and later, so you don't struggle when we start writing formulas. Formulas. Okay. So this is like, the Excel interface, and this is what we call like a worksheet. So sheet 1, this is a worksheet. And then when we have multiple sheets in one document, it becomes a workbook. So a worksheet is a single one, and then a worksheet is a single, it has just one sheet. But then a workbook is an Excel document that has lots of sheets. And so if you want to add extra sheets, right? You just click and add, and you can always rename. So you double click and you rename, let me say data for good, right? So you can always rename, and then you can right click, you click on it and right click, and you can decide to delete. You can also click rename and it renames it. You right click, you can insert whatever you want to insert, move or copy. So you can move, you can decide to click or click or move. If you're doing, you can say create a copy, it creates a copy, or you can say move it to the end, and all of that. Create a copy, move to the end, and I say okay. So now we have data for good too. So, and it has moved to the end and all of that. Yeah, so you can also, and then sometimes I also, well, of course, when I'm doing my work, like I don't do all these tab colors. But when I'm doing office work, I just try to make it nice for you. And I can decide to put different colors just to intimidate you if I want to. Just so it looks good, don't mind me. Yeah. So I just do that. So you can decide to do that or not. If it helps you, and then maybe sometimes too, when we're doing a dashboard, it might also be nice for you to, group your chats. If you want to put them on one page, it might be nice that you group them. So you can use this to group them and things like that. So that's enough of that. So when it comes to Excel, we have the columns and rows. Remember when we talked about structured data? So these are columns. I know a lot, I expect, or let me not say, but I expect that a lot of people already know what Excel is before, and then so this is just for people who don't have Excel knowledge and are joining the bootcamp. So these are columns. So the ones that are vertical, the ones with the letters are columns. So these are columns, A, B, C. So these are columns, and then these are rows. The ones that go horizontal are rows. 1, 2, yeah. So the numbers are the rows, and these are the columns. And then this is a cell. This one like this one that is selected is a cell. And so if you're like lost in a lot of everything, so this is a cell, and then this is the name box, L10. So L10 means that we're on column L, right? Column L, L14, column L and row 14. Right, so that's the name box. So D8, 8 row, column D. So these are cells. So we know what the column is. We know what the row is. We know sheets. We also know, and then, well, by the time we start having plenty, we had plenty things. We can use these arrows here to, scroll to see the end, scroll to see the, so that's how this works. And of course, we have the scroll bar. We have you can decide to maximize this. If you already know what you want to do, you click on that. You click on this percent here and just say, let's say 100. Yeah, okay, that's it. Then this is a formula bar. This is a formula bar. When you start writing, things appear here. So this is a formula bar. You can write your formulas here. You can write your formula here. You could also, even if it's not a formula you're writing, right? It shows here on the formula bar. So this is called the formula bar. It's a formula bar. Okay. So now we come here, and these are called tabs. Tabs. So we have the file tab. We have the file tab, we have the home tab, we have the insert tab, we have the draw tab, page layout, formulas, data, review, view, automate, developer, help. So these are all called tabs. And when you click on each tab, it has what we call ribbons. So these are ribbons. Home, this is the home tab, and this is the home ribbon. Ribbon. Insert tab. So when I tell you on the insert tab, on the ribbon, the tables, the charts, this is one of our favorites. As a data analyst, our favorite will always be on the, either we're on the home tab, or we're on the insert tab, or we're on the formula tab. But rarely on the formula tab, or not. And then data. I think what we usually do is insert and the data tab. And then when you start doing advanced, you can do automate, right? Developer, the way you have the macros and all of that, power pivot. But yeah, that is beyond. That's beyond us, this course. So data is very important to you. We do a lot of things here. And the insert, where we have our charts and so many things, we'll do a lot here. And then the home tab, we do a lot here. So this is, someone said this is the Microsoft Hall of Fame. All Microsoft tools have the paste, copy, cut, clipboard, format painter, right? So we know this, we know all of this. Wrap text, merge and center. This is very general and very basic. So, but then we're going to look at this. This is like a formatting. So we're going to do a lot on this, please. So we can format general, we can format as a number. Obviously, this is not a number, but then we're just going to see things like this: short date, long date, time, percentages, things like that. So we do a lot on, depending on the data we're working with. And then this is currency. Okay, let me increase this. Yeah, so we can see. So let me say we're working with 100, 1000. Okay, good, 1000. So this is formatted as general. So I'm going to do it as a number. So just, right? it's formatted as general. So I'm going to change it as a number. So it has this number, and I can format and say remove the, no, increase it. So decrease the zeros. I don't want the decimal places. So I can decide, okay, I don't want the decimal places, and I have it like this. Or I can come and say, oh, I want it to be a currency, right? And then, no, I don't want the zeros there. Just leave it like this. And this already comes with a comma separator. And then if you didn't have, I can just put it here. So that's a comma separator. That's just change to accounting. Let me go back to currency because I want to show you something. So this is Naira because this is default location settings. So if maybe if you're working for a client, and of course, maybe it's, let me say, a remote client, and their data is definitely not Naira, what do you do? So you come into this place. This is currency. So you come into this place, this accounting, not yet. And so we have the usual United States, United Kingdom, Euro. It changes, right? And then if it's these are obviously the Hall of Fame currencies, the main currencies, right? So if not, you come into more accounting formats and you do currency. Yeah. And then you can choose, you scroll and you see all sorts of currency. And you choose what you want. So let me say finish. Finish is using, let me look for something that is strange. Thai. Okay, let's do Thai. You do Thai. Decimal place is 2. I just want 1 decimal place. Okay, 1 decimal place, Thai. You set how you want the negative number to apply. Is it red? Is it, minus, or is it just going to be in red or minus red? You just decide what you want and you click OK. So now we've formatted this, and that's how that works with currency formatting. And it's important for you to show you this because, yes, I know you're going to do a lot with currency and all of that. And we're going to do a lot. This is conditional formatting. There's a whole topic on conditional formatting. I'm going to show you how to format your tables. So sometimes you might want to format your tables. However, put a design, put a color. I love my tables as easy as possible, as clear as possible, right? Clear white spaces. But if you want to, it's up to you. You can do it here. And then sometimes when you can change the color. Format whatever color, whatever style you want. You can come and do it here. And then cell styles also, yeah, you can do all of that there. Then we have the insert, column, rows, insert sheet. You can have delete column, delete cells, and all of that. Format, you can decide to format. Okay, let me do, there's something I like to do. You can see that this row is overflowing, right? And so you might have so many things overflowing. Let me write something down. Whatever that is. Okay, yeah, so you can see it's overflowing. So instead of you to come and start dragging a one like this, things like that, I'll undo that. So you could just select this from here. This place that looks like it has a half triangle. When you click on it, the entire sheet is selected. And just put your cursor here, like, on any of these in between the columns, and double click. You can see it's no longer overflowing. Let me put all my, let me undo that. And let me do all borders. Yeah, so we can see it clearly. Yeah, so this is overflowing, this is overflowing, this is just right? So instead of you to come and start doing manual pushing. So imagine you have rows with so many things and then you start doing manual pushing. So you just select here, this under the name box, this triangle, you select here, and you make sure your cursor appears like this, and you double click anywhere of this, and you click, double click. No, I didn't do that properly. Yeah, okay. So you can see now it has just fit. It's just fit now. So that's one of the things. And then you could also do this. Let me undo this. You could also come here and do format, and you say auto fit column width. We're still in the home tab, remember, we're still in the home tab. We're still in the home tab. So in cells, format, auto fit column width. Yeah, and it's auto fit. And so if you decide that, oh, I know I want a particular column width, you can click and say, let me say 30. I don't know if that fits. So you can say 30. So it depends on what you want. So the same thing applies. You can also do that for row height. You can also do that for row height. 18. Yeah, and then everything. So it depends on what you want to do. This is auto functions. Yeah, you can get functions here. You can get here. You can also get from here. This right down up, like these are like alignments. This is clear, so you can have formats and decide to clear all format. This one clear all clears everything. This one clears the formatting. This clears content. This clears if you have hyperlink and all of that. And then this one, if you have comments or notes, I'll show you how to do comments or notes. So you can do all the clear thing. Depends. Sorting and filter. So you can decide to sort A to Z, Z to A. So when you have a column that has so many things, so if it's a numerical column, obviously it's going to do largest to smallest. And if it's a text column, it's going to do A to Z. And then you can have custom sorts depending on whatever criteria you have. And then filter, you can also create filter. And then do whatever you're filtering. So, but then when we have proper data sets, and then find and select, if you have lots of data, millions of rows of data, you can use the find and select, find, replace, go to, all of that, and do this. Meanwhile, I just want to know that my Excel might be different, but I think it's still similar. It's different because I'm using Office 365, so it might not be showing how yours is showing. And then these are add-ins. These are things I added myself. These are add-ins. And yeah, that's it. And insert. So when we start working with pivot tables, this is where you insert a pivot table. You can insert pictures, shape, icons. We'll use all this when we're building our dashboards. This is where you insert your charts, whatever charts you want. You insert a slicer, spark lines. We're not working with spark lines in this course. But yeah, this is where you can insert timelines. And timeline is a filter, but it deals with date. It's usually a date column slicer. And then slicer is something like when you're trying to, like, it's usually qualitative data that you put in slicers, and you can put links, you can put comments, text. So we have text box, header, footer, word art, signature, object, all of that, symbols, whatever you need symbols for. Draw.io, this is a linked app. There's an add-on. Comments are usually used when you're collaborating and you're working on this and you're trying to get a colleague or somebody to, maybe this figure, you're not sure of this figure, right? And you can just leave a comment and say, yeah. So now it shows Choma I'm the one who's leaving the comment. So I'm going to say Favor. I don't know why I picked Favor's name, because yesterday, I don't know if it was he or she, was laughing a lot. So it just stuck with me, Favor. So Favor, so you can leave a comment and say, Favor, check this, verify this value. So your boss does this and I click enter. So now there's a comment here. It won't show. So when you receive this, you're going to see a comment. So you might just look at it. When I started, because when I started freelancing, and then my boss will give me something like this, and I'm wondering, what's this, you know? And then sometimes I even miss the comments. So I can't remember how I verify that. So if Favor now comes and Favor is now going to click and say, yes, ma'am, it's correct. Yes, it's correct. Or it's not correct, you know, or whatever it is. He replies. Obviously, it's not going to be Chema M. It's not going to be Favor, and then he replies, you know. And then, so I'm going to come, and then when I have looked at it, I'll say, okay, resolve thread. I can delete thread. I'll say resolved for thread. So now you can see the color has changed. So what I used to do is, so at the point, because I was missing some comments, I'll go to the view, and was it view or review? And I'll show here, good, review, and I'll come and say show comments. So here, I'll now see all the comments on that sheet, So I think it might be something you might want to look at. So since it's resolved, I'm not going back to it. And then since I originated it, I'm just going to delete it. And so that's it. So that's it with insert and draw. Are we drawing anything? You don't need that. Page layout, yeah. So you might want to, when you now build your dashboard and whatever, you can decide to have a theme, you know, uniform theme, colors. You could also customize your colors. This usually happens if you're working for a company and the company has their brand color. Your brand color cannot be like MTN and you're giving them charts that are purple because you like purple. Why? You're doing MTN yellow, right? They have the MTN yellow, they have the MTN blue. But then when you're working for these big companies, they give you their brand colors. Like, you know, there's a profile, like you have the brand color, you have their fonts. You can't say, oh, because I like, I don't know, Comic Sans or a font that is somehow, that's what I'm using. No, they give you their brand colors, they give you their brand fonts, and that's what you're going to use. So when you come in here, so their theme, so you can come and you come to the colors and you can customize colors, and here you can change it and do whatever you want and name it. So when you now choose colors or whatever, right, you can, you know, you can, when you edit it and all of that, and it's easy for you to always use than going to be setting it up always. So that's it for page layout. That's basically what you do here. View grid lines. Okay, grid lines is page layout. This also comes up in view. Yeah, let's leave this when we come to view. This view. And the thing also with Excel, not just Excel, Microsoft, is that especially Excel, you can do a lot of things from a lot of places. Like this grid lines now, it's also in the view place. So I'm going to just show you there when we get there. Formula, yeah, we talked about formula here and formula at the other place. So these are lots of functions, but you wouldn't really need a lot of functions. We're also going to look at name manager, name ranges. So it's a course, so I'm not going to spend my time here. Dependencies, I don't know, for those that have done project management, I think this is something you might want to look at a lot. This is, yeah, something that might be very, as data analytics, we're not going to look at that. Then data, yes, we're going to do a lot here. When you're getting your file, you can get your files from here. Good. So when I said get data, when you get the JSON file, right? So let's say, yeah. So when a JSON file comes in, so you can click getting a JSON file, and then you go and look for wherever a JSON file is stored, and you bring it in. It's going to just arrange it here and give you, like, you know, structured data. So it doesn't matter what you bring. So if it's Excel, if it's an Excel file, it comes as Excel. If it's a text, it comes in and just knows how to align itself. And then you can connect to databases, Postgres, all of that. Azure, you can, the whole Azure thing. So it's just a lot of things online, the web, and all of that, other sources, other formats. So there are just so many ways to bring in data. And so this is what we're going to do a lot here. Queries and connections, stock data types. We're doing the sorts. We've done this sorts filter. Text, yes, this is something we're going to do. We're going to do a lot here. Text to column. This is more like when we're doing data cleaning. We're going to look at duplicates, data validation, text to column, flash fill. And yeah, this, we're going to work with that a bit. Grouping, ungrouping, all of that. What if and forecast sheet, it's a lot more advanced. We're not going to do that now. Automation, no, we're not doing automation. So then review. Sorry, this is an introductory class, so I don't want to waste our time on it. And for some people who already know how Excel works, review. We talked about comments and all of that. Then you could also protect your sheets. So remember I said sheets and protecting your sheets and protecting your workbook. So sometimes you might want to share information with someone, especially when you're collaborating, but you don't want them to tamper with anything. So it's better you protect your sheets. So you decide what you want to lock and what you don't want to lock. And to remember protecting sheet, and you put your password. Please always remember your password. If you write it down, write it down. And then protect workbook. Now you're protecting all the workbook, so nobody can change it. But best practice, for me, I don't have time to be locking and unlocking because one day I'll forget my password. So what I usually do is, if I'm sending you something, I have a copy. I always have copy. I always have versions. So if I'm sending you something, and then maybe it's because sometimes you might not even be able to lock it because maybe the person also has to put an input. But it's good, if you can lock it. But sometimes if you know that, this person also has to have an input, so you might not need to lock it. So I always have an extra copy, on all the versions. And when they come, okay, if you've changed it or I don't understand what you're doing here, I'll go back to the version of what I had before I sent it to you and work with it. So always do that. And then when you're also saving, always use the save as. It's nice. If you just say save, you can't trace the changes. It's nice to do save as, save as, save as. So you always build on what you added. Then view. Yes. Okay, so view is how this shows. But the best things I do with the view thing is when I'm building my dashboard, I remove the grid lines. Okay, because let me go back to because I removed the grid lines, I put for all of this to show. So I'm just going to say no border. I'll select this and I'll say no border. Okay. Oh, okay. No border, but then the grid lines were showing, right? We can see the grid lines. So when I'm building a dashboard where I want a blank space, right? I'm just going to uncheck the grid lines. I don't want the grid lines to show. I don't want the formula bar. I'm going to uncheck the formula bar. And so it also gives me more space to build. I'm going to remove the headings. So this ABC thing and 1, 2, 3 is going to go up. It gives me more space to build my dashboard. So that's what I do here as a data analyst. Then automate and all of that, developer, building macros and all of that. Yeah, that's outside this course, and then you could do it. So let me go back and put my things. Then it's important file. Let me see. So it's important so when you go to the file place, always do the save as, export account. This is my account details. No. So options. So you can come here and customize if you need to customize anything. But I think the only thing you might want to do is maybe customize your ribbon and the things you want to show and the things you don't want to show, right? So yeah, I have this developer thing. So some people might not have some people I know they won't have automate and developer. So this, you just come here. If I uncheck it now, automate and developer will no longer show. Draw, let me say draw. I already use that. And I say okay. Yeah, so automate, develop, and draw, are no longer there. And so when you go into that, you can just always decide what you want to show and what you don't want to show. So it's just a lot. That's what I do. And All sorts of things. You can arrange it, but there's no point. Don't change it. I think this is the only thing you might need to do if you want to. Language, profane, all of that. Quick access toolbar. We already know the quick access toolbar. So this is the quick access. You might decide what you want to put there. The save, undo, all of that. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think that's basically it for the Excel interface. And for now, yes. And so when we get into it, we'll learn as we go. So that's all for tonight. I'll take questions and then we call it a day. Okay, that's all for tonight. Do we have questions?
Yes, ma.
Okay.
Okay, please, can you like go through the last part again, like the place where you brought out the automate and developer? Like I didn't get it all.
Okay, that's okay. Just hold on. Okay, yeah. File, I'll go to options. Customize ribbon. Remember we talked about ribbon. Ribbon is there, right? Yeah. So you can see there's no longer draw because I unchecked draw. So now I'm going to put draw. It's going to come back up. Automate, developer. And I just hold it. And so I can decide even in developer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I check and I say, okay. So now they're back here. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other question? None. Okay, that's good. Thank you for tonight's class. I always try to end my classes if we can end on time. And so the day we're staying for long, we stay for long. All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for joining tonight. Thank you. And see you on Monday.
Thank you. Good night.
As the week continues, we'll give you information on signing up on the portal, and we'll let you know when we upload. So if you need to rewatch before the next class, you can do that. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Good night, ma.
Thank you. Good night.